Hey, welcome back to channel Y.O.B. It's your host Yashua Salman. So this is just a review for the entire season 1 of Cowboy Bebop. I was extremely impressed. I was extremely moved by what they did with this. It was just is honestly, in my opinion, the greatest show of all time. I watched 3 episodes, gave you guys reviews of 3 episodes, but I just, yeah, I, I don't really, I just binged the rest. I just was addicted to the show. I couldn't really focus on making reviews. I was just loving every minute of it. I mean, now I was getting angry at everybody, because everyone was just hating on this. And I mean, yes, it is a mixture of people just hating on it for the sake of hating on it, but I kind of understand a little bit of where the anger is coming from, in my opinion. Um, I, I, I just, all right. Like, well, this is just pretty much spoilers, of the ending. Spoiler warning. Um, just how they did. I mean, everything's great. I just don't like the story element of Julia right now. I don't really like that she just became a villain out of nowhere. I don't like that. It's I don't like it, but I really think they're going for. I think it's necessary. I think it's really necessary. I think it's meant to make us feel. Because if you're a fan of the anime, you see Julia in the anime for the last time, and she's like sweet, and she's helping Spike. There is like Romeo and Juliet, and in this, it's not that. It's the opposite. She's actually addicted to power, you know. And I mean, if you really analyze it, it makes sense. Look how vicious is. What kind of woman will stay with Vicious and not become that? Won't you don't think that would rub off onto her? It's like being with a vampire and not getting infected by a vampire. It's like you will become a vampire too. You can't stay a good person if you're around someone who's so evil. They're going to basically change you into what the and I mean it makes sense. And it makes sense, and it's a good lesson for anybody who's really just dependent on love, which is just thinking that you're going to get it if you just hope and pray. What if you're wrong? What if that's just not in the cards at all? What do you do then? It's kind of like you always should have a plan B. You should always don't, and that's why even Spike says whatever happens happens. Another spoiler: they make Spike kill a little kid, and when he's with the syndicate. I don't remember that in the anime. That's a new element, and I mean, I I don't mind it, but when I first saw it, it was pretty jarring, for real. Like, it was definitely pretty jarring because it's it's just weird to see Spike Spiegel kill a child because he's like a hero, really, and he's not. I never seen him do something so evil, and it's like you could have let that kid go. Like, why shoot a child? But it's more like if I don't, I don't know. That's one thing I probably wouldn't have done either, is make Spike Spiegel shoot a little kid. I don't know. That's a little bit much. I think that kind of pulled me out of. Like, there's things about him I respect it, but I don't know. Murdering a child is kind of a little too extreme. And I don't know. I think there's this little story elements that are just a tad bit too bold. Whereas but I guess it's trying to be realistic, and I mean, I respect that. I really do respect that, and I mean, I take back saying that I don't like it. It's more like it's challenging, and that's why I said this is the best TV show I've ever seen in my life. Actually, I really think so. It's putting all these bold statements in your face, and it's really challenging the audience to just, cause especially people who love the anime, and it's not done in like it's not Death Note, okay? It's not Death Note where it's like the director didn't give a fuck. These people know exactly what this is, but they're going deeper in it, and they're even adding more grit to it. Whereas almost this is feeling like a fucking Pulp Fiction, like Quentin Tarantino movie where nobody's innocent. Really, nobody's innocent. And it's like we're getting mad. I got mad at Julia. It's like, well, fuck it. Julia didn't murder any kids. Spike Spiegel shot a kid. So it's just like, you can't really be mad at her for being evil too. It's like, what did she do? She just shot Vicious and said, I ain't fucking in love with nobody. It's like, fuck this shit. You guys are basically just thinking I'm just here to be your item to love. And in a way, it kind of does reflect on the masculinity of men too, where we just kind of just treat women like they're just props for us to be in love with, and not people that have feelings and identities and souls and seen traumatic experiences just like anybody else. And we just treat them like, well, they're just this item that I'm supposed to give my love onto, and I don't give a fuck about how they feel. And it's just like, I mean, it's a very strong, like, message, and I totally respect it. I mean, I was bawling, tearing up this entire last 10th episode. Best episode of the season was the 10th episode, and my second favorite was the 6th. I love the Twilight Zone kind of element, and how it was kind of challenging, how he perceived her. And I mean, it's really like making it nobody is innocent in this world. I mean, nobody really. Everybody has their shit. And it's paying homage to the anime. It's doing its own thing, and its own thing is very good. If this wasn't even a Cowboy Bebop show, I think that it would still be good. That shows you that the writing is so good. If it wasn't even a Cowboy Bebop show, I think the writing and the directing and the style of how they're doing this is just so good. But I do think it definitely is not just its own style. It's definitely taking elements of the anime and highlighting it. The people who made this have a passion. They're adding things to it that are good. I think this will go down as a cult classic too, just as much as the Cowboy Bebop anime show did. People will go back and look upon this and be like, this was actually fucking iconic. And it really challenged people, and I think that I just feel the same way how I felt when I saw Matrix Reloaded. I just felt like it's very great and it doesn't feel good. But it is right though not to feel good at the end of this. You're supposed to feel like Spike Spiegel laying on the ground, all bleeding and beaten up. You're supposed to feel like, fuck, there's no resolve to this. And then you're sitting here like waiting for Julia to come and save the day, and that's literally Reloaded. But this is even more realistic than Reloaded, in my opinion. The Matrix Reloaded, because it's just showing you like you're not gonna have no fucking Trinity. It's not gonna be no feminine energy around to hold your hand at the end and be like, well, you're right. You loved me. I always loved you. And sometimes you don't get that. Sometimes it's actually a gun in your face saying, actually, she shot Spike Spiegel. I realized too. So it's just show you like she's like sometimes and death comes from a familiar face. You be sitting here like worshiping somebody, they'll be the same one to decapitate your ass. And it's just, you can't depend on things. And it's like, it's a very powerful show. I mean, like, I've never felt anything like this. I've never been addicted to a show so much where I'm even respecting it. Like, I'm not going to binge all these episodes. It's like how I used to read comic books. Like, I'm not going to just sit here and just jam-pack the whole thing into one thing. It's like, respect it. They took a long time making this. I'm not going to just sit here and watch it until I pass out and then be like, oh, shit, I'm at the last episode. How did this happen? I was like, no. It's like, I'm going to fucking see every minute of it. And not many shows do that except Sopranos for me. And honestly, I didn't even sit through Sopranos as much as this. I can't relate to that shit as much as I can relate to this. This is so diverse. It shows so many different races, so many different people, so many different like cultures, so much, just like the anime. And it's just the creators and everyone behind us, the actors, the actresses. Bravo, you have all done 100%. I don't care about these YouTubers online. They don't care. It's none of these people. I'm just tired. There's no real dialogue. YouTube's not even fun. There's no real dialogue. Everything is just like, let's just whine and bitch about shit, and just get clicks by putting up trash and making getting the pictures of the actors or playing the characters and projecting their eyeballs, making them look like memes and saying, "Oh, they're silly. Oh, it's trash. Let me put a little comic book sign saying, making Spike look like, oh, it's a trash in my thumbnail because it's trash because I feel it's trash." Let me not let's just not have a dialogue and look at the symbolisms and and how they did put a lot of effort in this. There's great practical effects, great action scenes, great acting, powerful, dark, violent scenes in it. Really like just, and how they're balancing the cursing. Like they'll have certain scenes where they weren't even cursing, where they say, "Oh dang, oh gosh," and it's like they're balancing it weirdly, almost like where they're paying like it's like a comic. Like Frank Miller will literally have comic books show pornographic imagery, but then at the same time have the main character talking like something out of like fucking Batman or like Superman comic books, where it's like, "Oh gosh, darn it, I'm not gonna do that. Dang." It's like when the whole world is just gross and there's just explicit nudity everywhere. It's just like, I think that just shows the intelligence, like where someone could be like, "I'm gonna make the character not curse, but the whole world be extremely fucked up," and it's just, and no one's even noticing. It looks, it's just, I don't care. All I can say is Cowboy Bebop-Netflix is a 10 out of 10. Everyone did a great job. I had a great time watching this. This was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. It pays homage to the comic book. I mean, not the comic book, the show, the anime, back in the day, and I'm just excited to see what happens next. I hope that this gets a second season. I want to see more. It's definitely look like it should be a second season. So, and I mean, it looks like it's gonna be now. Anything can happen, because it's just like the way it just leaves everything so fucked up. It's just like, now it's like you want to see what happens. I want to see what happens next. Like, I want to see what happens next. I don't really care about YouTubers, some dweebs online whining about shit. I want to see this. Like, I want to see cool shit in my life. I don't want to see this neurotic and fucking geeks and gamers and fucking just these boring, just whiny, like a critical drinker. All these just like annoying, like they're man boys. They're like little boys. They look like grown men. They sit here like trying to start culture wars over fucking like movies. It's like, no. That's all I gotta say. I highly recommend everyone go see this. I highly recommend it. 10 out of 10. Peace.